Welcome to episode 13 of the NerdShredz podcast. Bit of a different setup for this one, guys, but enjoy. Okay, man, so how about you just start off by, telling everybody who's listening, who you are and what you do.
All right, well, my name is Khroen, and right now I play Teamfight Tactics professionally for Cloud9.
Cool. So, and again, I'd like to start off by getting people's origin stories, like hearing like what games they used to play, like growing up, and how they sort of, got to the gaming standpoint they're at just now. So, so what kind of games, like, take us through like what you were like when you were younger and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing video games pretty much as long as I can remember. My dad was into gaming a little bit, and from there I kind of picked it up. I remember playing games like Warcraft 2 or like Diablo 1, even when I was like super, super young. And it progressed over time to playing a lot of things. I personally, probably out of any genre of game, actually, MMOs are probably my favorite.
Oh,
So I
MMOs,
definitely
okay.
spent a lot of time. Yeah. Even though I haven't played any MMOs professionally, I've only played MOBAs and then now auto battlers. But I played a lot of like even MMOs such as like RuneScape. I suppose you can count that one as well. I played a lot of RuneScape back in the day. I
Yeah, it's old
played
school.
a game, yeah. Played like Fly FF even. I don't even know if anyone's ever heard of that, but it's like real obscure. And then into World of Warcraft, I played that for a lot of years, starting like what even was it? I don't know, like 2008 when like Wrath of the Lich King expansion came out or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Around there is when I started playing WoW. And then eventually got into playing League of Legends during late season 1, season 2
That's
era.
pretty early,
I
yeah.
started playing that. Yeah. I played that for about 5 years until eventually got into Heroes of the Storm
So
around that
what kind of
time.
games
Yeah.
did your dad play? Like when, like, so you're younger, impressionable, what games
Uh,
were like sticking in your head?
yeah, I mean, actually, I got into WoW because my dad had played WoW.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, he played a bunch of just like I don't know, random like RPGs or things like that. I know he had played Warcraft 2, I believe, as well, and so I kind of picked it up from there.
Hmm.
He played some Diablo as well. Actually, Guild Wars was a big one too. I forgot
Oh
about that
man,
game. That's
I played way
yeah,
too
that's
much
a
Guild Wars, man, back in the day.
well, Guild
Yeah.
Wars was so good. I love that game. I played so much of it. But yeah, I got into Guild Wars for him, and I think that's actually how I got into MMOs, either that or RuneScape, one or the other.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, man, it's just
yeah.
like played quite a lot of Guild Wars, but I could never really play WoW as a kid. My parents wouldn't let me.
Mhm.
It was obscene to play like a monthly subscription for a game. That was just crazy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's funny. Like your dad playing WoW is cool though. Like
Mhm.
my dad like would play stuff like Tomb Raider, some kind of problem solving
Oh
game
yeah.
like that. But WoW, that'd be like so cool for like your dad to encourage you to play an MMO. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of strange because I'm not super close to my parents like my dad. I just kind of like picked it up from there and kind of like took that as like, oh, okay, these are cool, and just kind of went my own direction with
Hmm.
it. And um yeah, just had that initial exposure, I suppose, to
Yeah.
it, and just yeah, went from there and just loved it. Like again, as I said, I've been playing games since I can remember. It's just been my life, my
Well, it's funny
passion, my
because
hobby.
quite a lot of like professional players you'll speak to, they have like a really competitive upbringing with like a sibling or something. So having
Mhm.
your dad to actually be the one to compete with you or even just show you the way is quite cool. It's always like an older or
Yeah.
an older brother that you want to try and beat is always is always quite good. But
Yeah.
so how did it lean towards you playing these games and then playing like MOBAs like League of Legends and HOTS and stuff?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly how I got into League of Legends. It might have been either a friend who had played, or I just heard about the game in general. I was like, oh, okay, it'd be cool to check it out. And I
Hmm.
did that, and I just kind of really, really enjoyed the game to begin with. I mean, I've always been talking about the competitiveness. Like I've always just been a competitive person. Whatever I do, I like to be the best at it. I like to win. Even yeah, and just like playing games, in like middle school and stuff with my friends and stuff. I've always like would want to win
Gotta be the best.
and
Gotta
try
be the
to
best. Yeah.
gotta be the best. That's always really been my mindset. And so with League of Legends and having like it was before there was like Diamond or whatever, just like their like elo system, like number based. Yeah, I just wanted to climb and to get better. and I played until League of Legends until about season 5, and that's when I started to hear about
Okay.
Heroes of the Dorm, the collegiate, HOTS
Hmm.
tournament. And at that time, I was a freshman or sophomore in I think I was sophomore in college. But I had some friends who had also played League, but they'd heard about the Heroes of the Dorm, and I was like, oh, okay, that'd be cool to check out. We get beta access to the game for just signing up for this tournament, because
Hmm.
they did that for colleges. So got into it from there, and we ended up actually, because like we were fairly good at MOBAs and better than a lot of people who just signed up to get the beta key and stuff. So
Yeah,
we ended up actually getting top 16 and being featured on like ESPN2 or something, which we all thought was super cool at the
that's
time.
mad. Yeah.
And yeah, there was a little bit of a start of a competitive scene at that time, and I had wanted to go pro in a game. I had, in committing to playing League of Legends a lot, I had looked up to a bunch of teams, at the early inception
Hmm.
of League, and I thought, man, that was super cool to be able to, do this for a living, do what you love in playing games and making a living off of it. And I really wanted to follow and pursue that path, and so I made a decision that I thought it would be a little bit easier to try to do that in Here's the Storm, since it was a new game rather than
Hmm.
trying to keep pursuing League. And I was like pretty good at League. I was maybe like before Master Tier came out, so it was just like Diamond and then like
Yeah.
Challenger. Like I was like high Diamond, but I didn't like quite hit Challenger. Like I could have if I had stuck with it,
You just
but
kept going. Yeah.
I just yeah, I just thought I would, I suppose, take the risk and shift on over to Here's the Storm, especially because how much I enjoyed the game, how much I enjoyed competing in the Here's the Dorm
Hmm.
and getting top 16 in that tournament.
That's cool. So where did you, when you played League of Legends, did you like stick to like a specific role, or were you just like a utility, just play wherever?
Yeah, I in season 2, which is I think I climbed from like silver to, I don't know, like plat in season 2, so I had like a pretty like decent climb there. I played top lane.
Hmm.
I mained like Rumble, and that's pretty much my one trick.
I still love
Actually, I
Rumble, man.
played
Rumble's ace.
yeah, I played Rumble, and I played a colleague. Actually, one of the first like pro players that I remember like looking up to for their play was Westrice on a collie. Is a collie was just super clean, like really flashy
Hmm.
assassin plays, and I was like, oh man, like I love that play style. Like I wanna do
Oh
that.
yeah.
But then yeah, then after season 2, I actually swapped over to playing support. I looked up to Aframu a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially specifically because there's not a lot of black players in the esports scene, and Aframu was a perfect person idol to look up to for
Yeah,
that.
like a
And
role
so I
model.
kind
Yeah,
of
that's cool.
yeah, definitely
Hmm.
definitely Aframu is a huge role model for me. Something that I've spoke on a lot, and I think it's very important to have that have that representation and
Hmm.
person to be inspired by. And yeah,
I
again,
still
those
like
Aframu
Afromoose
for me.
streams actually. He's
Oh yeah,
he's good. He's
definitely super cool dude.
yeah, he's so sound, just so like laid back and chill, man. He's great to watch. But yeah, back in
100%.
the day, the original OG Akali, the amount of like YouTube like montages you'd see of just like an Akali popping off, and you're like, "Pfft, man, I think those days are gone." But yeah, uh,
Yeah.
that's cool. So then you just went into like the pro scene from HOTS from there, did you?
Yeah, so after Heroes of the Dorm decided to make an amateur team with a couple of members of my collegiate team from my college, and then a couple of members from UConn, University of Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like Dan Lee for 3, and oh man, I'm not remembering the other person's name. But anyway, yeah, Dan Lee for 3 is an early name in the Heroes of the Storm competitive scene. He did compete at a tournament, I believe he was Rising. But anyways, yeah, we made an amateur team and competed in like the ESL like Go for Heroes weekly tournaments, and we would actually we got to the point where we were regularly getting into like top 4 into like the finals, or sometimes into the finals of those, but would just get beat by stronger teams. But from there,
Hmm.
I decided I wanted to really try to pursue this, so I ended up I think my aspirations for being on that amateur team were higher than the rest of my teammates, who kind of just were doing it for fun, but I really wanted to make something out of it, so I decided to leave that team. And so when I joined 2ARC, I believe,
Okay.
yeah, 2ARC Gaming, and that is when that's not when I made breakthrough into the actual like competitive scene. Like we didn't qualify for top 8 for like these regional tournaments and stuff, but we were like just outside of that, or maybe like a ninth or like 10th best team. And
Okay.
um, it was it was a time to where I like kind of started making a little bit of a name for myself in at least like the amateur, and like was being noticed by stronger players. So from there I eventually ended up leaving 2ARC to join Gale Force, which was the first team that I
Ah,
qualified
okay,
for a LAN tournament on, and where I first made my professional debut, I suppose.
cool. And are you playing like the same role again when you when you start playing? Have you consistently played like the same like range of heroes and stuff throughout your pro career from amateur as well?
Uh, from Heroes of the Storm. Oh, actually, I played a little bit of like melee assassin starting
Okay.
out, and like in dorms, I played like Illidan and heroes like that. But then I transitioned into playing ranged assassins, and that's pretty much what I played throughout the majority of my Heroes of
Mm-hmm.
the Storm career.
Yeah.
But there was actually a little bit on Gale Force where we had picked up Equinox, and Equinox was a very good flexible player, but he played some tank, and I actually played some tank at that point as well, and it was kind of not my traditional standard role, but
Mm-hmm.
one that I think that I still I enjoyed learning it. I think it was a new kind of breath of fresh air that got me, reinvigorated into learning this new role, putting the time and effort into that, and I think I was fairly good at it. But yeah, just having that flexible style of play, we had a decent amount of success with, and so I had a little bit of time on that role. But those
Mm-hmm.
are really the only two things. Sometimes during the end of like Heroes Hearth Esports, when I was on that team, towards the end before the HC was canceled,
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit tired of the range role, and I played a little bit of like melee assassin, melee flex. But again, primarily it was range
Which
assassin.
is cool. So like during your like HCC and stuff career, like what's like your biggest wins that you remember, like biggest tournament wins?
Yeah, wow. Biggest tournament wins. I mean,
Not necessarily like has to be
yeah, yeah.
you won something, but just like something you're like, "Psh, man, we worked our ass off for that and we destroyed them."
Yeah, I think actually I remember it very vividly, like qualifying for the first LAN tournament, like when I actually first just like left 2ARC and joined Gale Force, like there was HEC didn't exist then, there was still just regional tournaments.
Yeah.
But we qualified for DreamHack Austin 2016, and I felt largely though like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. Like this was something that I was trying to achieve for the past however many years, and qualifying for an actual LAN tournament kind of like prove to myself that all this hard work and all this effort was actually starting to really come into fruition. It was like I'm starting to actually realize and succeed my dreams there. It was
Mm-hmm.
like a step that I was reaching towards for so long. I was actually able to like pull myself and like climb myself to get on that step where towards I hadn't for so long. So that was like a huge
That's cool.
amount of progress there. Yeah, and then outside of that, I think that was like the first like a major step. But outside of that, I think qualifying, not only qualifying for BlizzCon with Heroes Hearth Esports,
Mm-hmm.
but actually being able to beat Tempest, which was a
Yeah.
second best Korean team in the BlizzCon group stage, and then come out of the groups as second seed, I think was very like one of my prouder moments. Just being able to contend against some of the best teams in the world,
Mm-hmm.
because it was always a meme like, yeah, NA could be good inside of NA, but getting to internationals, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
NA is a joke and wouldn't usually perform well. So proving to not only ourselves but to the scene in general and to the world that we were a team that was an international threat and that could compete against top Korean teams. And you look at Korean teams, it's just like, man, like, you wish you could be as good as those teams
Yeah.
one day. And we like kind of were, not as we weren't quite as good as a Gen G being by far the best team in the world at the time, but to beat the second best team is still a major feat in of itself.
Yeah, it's always like when you look at any esport, like whether it's like StarCraft, League of Legends, anything,
Yeah.
it's always like it seems to be any like European or American or actually any areas like we want to try and beat the best. And generally speaking, it's the Koreans you got to try and knock off.
Yeah.
And I even remember like when in StarCraft as well, when the first when Sarah won the first time to beat like a Korean in a final, it just was crazy, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can totally understand trying to beat like the Korean giants, you know.
No, no, definitely.
That's pretty cool. So are you still playing HOTS just now? Is it, you still stream HOTS?
I actually randomly did stream HOTS like literally the other day. So after HGC was canceled by Blizzard, I was actually already a little bit burnt out from the game, to be honest, and I was actually considering taking a bit of a break, but
Hmm.
I had kind of decided to myself that like, okay, I'm gonna give this at least one more year and see how I'm doing from there. And I kind of had like a little internal battle or struggle within myself to really want to pursue that because I was a little burnt out. Um, so then after HSC actually got canceled, I was like, all right, I'm just there's such a bad taste left in my mouth from Blizzard because of the a bunch of reasons, but I was a little burnt out of the game. Blizzard said, yeah, HC was coming back for sure, and then 2 weeks later they're like, oh, just kidding,
No, it's not. Yeah.
it's not. And so yeah, I didn't play HOTS for a while. I transitioned over to playing League again. I was going to focus on my
Oh,
stream and
that's cool.
stuff. But then came a time to where I stopped enjoying playing League, and I tried playing in like other games randomly, and I stopped enjoying those as well. And I actually fell into like a few weeks of not really enjoying anything and being just kind of like really depressed, honestly. And I didn't really do anything for a few weeks. Like I just remember like waking up like on a computer, but like I couldn't even tell you like what I did for those few weeks. But then after that, I was like, okay, I'm not actually doing anything. I might as well just stream Here's the Storm, even if I don't enjoy the game, even if I feel like force myself to play it. I might as well stream.
Hmm.
Might as well, try to do something with my life because I wasn't really doing anything then. So I did for probably about a month or something stream HOTS, and but then after that, I discovered actually Dota Auto Chess, the
Oh
new
yeah.
auto chess or auto battler genre, and that's when I started pursuing that, and I stopped playing HOTS from there on out, and I literally didn't play HOTS for like a year
Okay.
until like very recently. Honestly, like a week ago is actually like or like a couple weeks ago I posted on Twitter like, hey, I actually think I don't hate HOTS anymore. Would anybody be interested in like watching me like play it? Like I'm not going back to it like permanently. I'm just might mess around and play some games with friends for fun, and people it was received pretty well from the community. And I mean, a lot of my following came from Here's the Storm, and a lot of people still enjoy playing it even casually. So
Hmm.
yeah, I did a casual Here's the Storm stream last week,
Ah, that's
and
cool. Yeah, like the
it was
HOTS community is pretty. I think it's quite tight knit. Like I think it's just
oh,
because,
definitely.
especially now, I feel like they're almost need to stick together because, especially when Blizzard dropped it, it felt like oh, we still like to play this game sort of thing. But so, what did you think of HOTS then? Since having taken like that long off, what do you think about like the recent game changes and stuff?
I mean, recent game changes. I know, like sometimes or every time you go into game, there's like little like weather effects that happen, like the fog and like snowstorm and stuff. And I compared it to being a TFT. I was like, oh, it's just TFT galaxies, but in Here's the Storm now. It's just random things happen in every game,
So
and
that's it.
I mean, it's like it's just a thing. I don't really care one way or the other. Like I don't play Here's the Storm nowadays to like be super invested into all the
Yeah.
changes in the meta. I just play to have a little bit of fun and kind of reminisce on old times because I do have some of my best experiences honestly in my life playing Here's the Storm.
Hmm.
That game really shaped me in my esports career and the person that I am today. So I mean, there always will be a place in my heart for Here's the Storm to some extent because of that. So
Yeah, I mean it's good
but yeah,
to see the changes and
fun
stuff
of it.
like they're still
Hmm.
making. I did think that when
Yeah.
Blizzard dropped HGC, it was just going to be like okay, like that dead game meme was going to be like reality. They were just going to give up on it.
Mhm.
So it is kind of surprising they've done what they have done, but I can
Yeah.
100% understand the sort of bitter, I think bitterness, just the
Yeah.
how people feel towards like Blizzard, especially speaking to other people that have been on like the HGC register and stuff, and how Blizzard handled that whole area. Like, there's no way you wouldn't, be frustrated with the way things like sort of went. But it's
Yeah.
good to know that you were like almost like I would say one foot out the door, but you were almost like thinking like this is potentially something I don't want to do, or I want to pursue something else. Maybe that's probably a good side, right?
Yeah, those were thoughts that I was already kind of thinking about. So I was a little bit more prepared as well, I suppose. And even like I actually reached out to other like companies just in like the gaming space beforehand because actually a little bit of a side note, but I remember being at like I believe it was IEM Katowice
Oh, cool.
in Poland, and at like a Twitch party there, I spoke to someone in just the gaming space in general, and they gave me some really good advice of just like, hey, like do you have any plans for, after you stop playing competitively? And I was like, I mean, I guess I kind of do. Like, I got a degree in English, so maybe I want to do something in like the I don't know, PR field or something like
Yeah.
English related in the scene. And they were like, okay, like that's good that you have an idea, but like these are connections that you can and probably should be like even starting to make and develop now, so that you can like set yourself up for after you do retire eventually. And I wanted to compete, and I still do want to compete for a very long time, but even just having that not only in my mind but making active steps towards a transition in the future, I think is super good. And kind of what like every player who plays professionally should be thinking about. So I had actually made like a resume and sent out a couple applications after the HGC died as well, but I ended up ultimately wanting to compete more. That's still a very much a driving force for me, a passion of mine to want to compete and be the best in something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool. I actually saw, this is again maybe a bit of a side note, but it was on Twitter. There was a guy, Select. He used to be a professional StarCraft player, and it was
Oh yeah.
the CEO of Spotify had like reached out to him because he said he was done with StarCraft, and then just offered him a job. And he tweeted like 2 days ago saying that he was just a way to start. And I was like, that's crazy, that because he used to be
Yeah.
such a fan of StarCraft 2 that he knows what he's capable of. I'm like, that's really cool. It opens like doors like that, you know. So
Oh, definitely, yeah. Because being in the esports space, like you can make a lot of connections. It's just like up to you as a player to like reach out and make those, because you are pretty influential. You have
mhm.
a lot of pull, a lot of weight there, and people recognize your worth. Especially as a professional player, you have insights that not a lot of the people do have. Like those, the way you approach the game, the way you look at a game is going to be an invaluable perspective and point of view that a lot of gaming companies and esports related stuff,
Yeah.
it's like that they do value.
hmm So like now, as we were saying, you've now sort of shifted on to like TFT. So start
Yeah,
playing the Dota. What was the Dota one called again? I know it came
yeah,
first.
yeah. DAC or Dota Auto
Yeah,
Chess.
that's right. I remember it
That's the
coming. I was like,
predecessor
oh,
to this one.
it actually made me download it just to. I was so curious because everyone had, and then League came out with theirs. So how did you decide? You just enjoyed playing the Dota one and thought, I'm really gonna give this a go.
Yeah. So originally in discovering Dota Auto Chess, at that point I hadn't really enjoyed any other game, so I thought, okay, this is cool, and I actually do enjoy it. It's fun to learn a new genre of game. Me liking to be competitive and stuff, and liking to learn. It kind of actually felt reminiscent of Here's the Storm, because I got into Here's the Storm during the inception of it, during when it just started, and with Dota Auto Chess, it kind of felt a similar vibe there, at least in the newness of it. I was on the same playing field as all these players. Going back to League, these players have years and years of more of
Yeah.
experience on me now, because I hadn't played it in a while, even though it still is a MOBA. There's a lot of nuances and a lot of things that I was behind on. But in Dota Auto Chess, everyone was on the same playing field, and I was pretty good at the game from learning it and playing it for, I don't know, a couple months, a few months of it. So they didn't really have any like competitions to any large extent. There was like some tournaments, but they were
hmm
pretty like low budget, pretty casual. But then Riot eventually announced that they were working on Teamfight Tactics, and I was like, okay, I think this is going to be what I'm going to commit to, because I enjoyed this game. I think I'm good at it. I really want to compete in something. I love Riot and League of Legends,
hmm
so putting everything together there just seemed like kind of fortunately enough, the perfect route to try to
It's going
pursue, the
to.
perfect option. So I was kind of all in since day one of Teamfight Tactics. And even like in the beta of it, they had released like there was no ranking system initially, but they actually
hmm
released like, oh, the top 500 players in terms of MMR from the beta, and I was
Oh, that's cool. I
on
didn't
that
know.
list of players. I forget specifically where I was at. I was probably towards like the middle of the pack there, but even still, I was like, it was a little bit of encouragement to be like, all right, like this is something I wanted to pursue. I am doing well at it, so I'm gonna really go all in there. And then a lot of organizations started, posting on Twitter and stuff. They're like, hey, we're looking for TFT players. And so I had applied and reached out to some orgs, and eventually Cloud9 had reached out to me, and
Cool.
yeah, went from there. And fortunately enough, during the beginning of it, ended up getting signed to Cloud9.
Cool. So how long have you been on Cloud9 for?
Yeah. Actually, a little bit under a year, I believe. Yeah, I think next month actually will be my 1 year being on Cloud9. Time
Oh,
flies.
okay.
I didn't realize it's been a year yet.
And how are
Uh,
they still doing tournaments throughout like coronavirus and stuff, or has that all been put on hold?
for Teamfight Tactics?
hmm
Yeah, so there hasn't actually been that many tournaments for Teamfight Tactics that are Riot put on and Riot
Yeah.
sponsored, but recently they did make some pretty big announcements for at least like a kind of like world championship for this like set or season, I suppose. Like there's been 3 sets of TFT so far, and we're in like the latter half of the third one right now.
Hmm.
So there's going to be like I don't actually remember exactly what it's called, the like Galaxies Championship, Nebula Galaxies Championship or something. So it's kind of the first like huge like world class tournament from Riot. But besides that, there's been third party organizations stepping in and making tournaments. Big one there would be Giant Slayer TV.
Okay, yeah, that
They're
rings a bell.
actually yeah, they formed out of the old team that I was sponsored by in Here's the Storm, Heroes Hearth Esports. They kind of transitioned more into the entertainment side and wanting to do content and run tournaments. And so
Hmm.
they formed a branch, Giant Slayer TV, and they're one of the major influences in the TFT scene right now in terms
Ah,
of
right,
putting on
okay.
tournaments and stuff. So
Yeah, I've definitely seen
yeah.
them popping about on Twitter before, but I couldn't have told you what they did. But that's cool. Nice. So like just mentioning coronavirus there, how was like this whole like pandemic and how's this period sort of affected you?
Yeah, honestly, I don't go outside too much either way. I very much so just probably to an unhealthy amount, stay inside too much and just play video games, sit on my desk all day. So it's not really affecting me in that capacity too much. Kind of sometimes I'm like, "Oh, okay, I really should go out more. I should have a bit more balance into my life." Balance is a thing that I've been trying to work on for a little bit now. But now there's, I guess, more of an excuse to not do that or put it off for a little bit longer. And I know it's rough on a lot of people and it is affecting a lot of people, but for me, honestly, it's just kind of
Just normal
been
life.
normal. Yeah, it's been a normal life for me.
That's cool. I mean, that's it. Just the lack of vitamin D. I think that'd be it. I mean, need to go outside sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like the start of it was definitely super. I can easily stay indoors, but now months and months later, I mean, I'm not sure how if you guys still have regulations in like Houston and stuff, but here it's sort of like easing up now. So like bars and stuff are starting to open up and things like that. But
Yeah. Actually, here in Texas, I know like they started reopening some stuff again, but then the coronavirus cases spiked very heavily, and I think it was like literally the worst in Texas out of like anywhere else, at least in America.
mm,
So I think a lot of I'm not sure actually officially what's going on right now, but I know a lot of people stopped going out again and
just
started
knowing it was bad, yeah,
yeah, just knowing it was bad. And
yeah.
I think actually there has been recent changes that are like, okay, we should pull back a little
Just
bit
go
on that
back
front.
inside. Yeah, yeah. There was
Mhm.
quite a few people actually that having gone back to play games, and obviously like people who have like 9 to 5s and have like families and stuff have stopped playing games, like friends of mine, and they've just sort of came
Mhm.
back to playing games again since it's like being in lockdown. So all your gamer friends that have stopped playing games that came back. So it was great. It was great to chat to all them. But yeah, it's can be a bit scary, I think.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, so my stream normally has like a bit of a fitness feel to it as well. Forgot to
Mhm.
mention, but do you actually? Because again, I know a lot of like professional teams, especially now, have like I mean, some of the gaming houses will have like fully equipped gyms, and some of them have like proper workout like regimes and stuff. Do you
Yeah.
do anything to like keep yourself in shape or like nutrition wise or exercise wise?
So I should probably do a lot more than I do now, but one thing that I do actually do is I do a lot of hand and wrist stretches. That's something that I actually was a couple years ago experiencing like a little bit of like hand and like knuckle pain or something. So
Hmm.
I did start to actually regularly do those, and it has helped in that regard. I think that's something that if you play games at all, I mean, just in general, you should.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. You know, physical health is very important, and taking care of yourself, eating right, exercising, super important. But at the very least, if you play games and you're using your mouse and keyboard all day, you should definitely stretch your hands. Hands are the most
yeah.
important thing, especially for a professional player. Hands are you don't get those back. You don't get those back
What
again.
was it? Is it carpal tunnel syndrome? Remember that was one that people
Yeah,
used to
that's
always
a
say like the
huge
most
thing.
common one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
The
even like yeah, no, that's actually I was just gonna say like with esports and gaming like really being I don't know, like relatively new. Like there's not that much I don't want to say knowledge out there, but there's not as many people like really normalizing or letting people know how important exactly like your hands are like taking care of your body really is. Like it
Hmm.
should be way more of a prevalent thing that it actually is now. Like people don't really talk about it as much as they should, I guess is my point.
Yeah,
And
I mean, like some of the, I think it was like somebody on Reddit or something, and one of the league teams had said like this is like roughly what they do, like exercise. They're forced to go out for like a run or do X amount of like
yeah.
exercise like a day. And I remember like some of my friends who aren't gamers were like, "That's mad. They're just gamers." I'm like, "Man, you're like like your mental health. Like surely like just from
Oh
going
yeah.
outside and even walking once a day would be better than you." Because I mean, I can from gamers, you see some will if they're trying to hard like make a rank or again like try to break that barrier to go in professional, you'll see some of them like rack up like 14 15 hours a day without leaving their computer.
Hmm.
That's like norm. And that just
Yeah.
can't be day after day. That's got to take its toll on you, you know.
Oh, definitely. That's something that I've run into and probably was a contributor of me experiencing like pretty heavily burnout from when I was playing Here's the Stormnet, and I fortunately now recognize a lot of the importance of
Mm.
balance and taking those breaks. But I was some of the person who fell right into that category. Just grinding day in and day out, not really taking that time. And yeah, talking about mental health too, it definitely had a toll on my mental health as well,
Mm-hmm.
and something that I should have taken into account a lot earlier. I actually I spoke on a panel actually about a week ago or so, and it was on pro players and coaching, and a theme that we talked about was the importance of mental and physical health. And how was I going to say? It was the importance of mental and physical health, and how there's a lot of things that I know now that I kind of wish that I had known when I was first getting into gaming and esports and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and even just like even putting off going to therapy. It's something that I started about a month ago, going to therapy, and I should have done that like way long ago, just to be able to have better insights or understand myself better, and
Yeah.
being able to realize how to make this change in my life that I had wanted to, but not really known how to take those steps
Mm-hmm.
efficiently. And then mental health is something that definitely has still a bit of a stigma behind it, and shouldn't be. Like, it should be very normalized. Like, that's why I'm super comfortable and want to help other people feel comfortable and like talking about mental health. And like literally, even if you don't feel as though you need it, everybody can benefit from like seeking help,
Yeah.
and like going to therapy and stuff. Just talking about issues. Like no one's alone. You don't have to feel like you should be alone
Mm-hmm.
because of any stigma behind it, or if you feel as though it's like really hard to reach out, or whatnot. It is hard to reach out, but
I totally agree. It's
yeah.
it's one thing as well that, especially in the gaming space, like obviously when you go professional, a lot of things you start at quite a young age, but it feels like esports as well. You'll hear some
Mhm.
people that are like potentially good enough at like 14, 15. Like they'll
Yeah.
beat people who are, but then obviously there's like rules that you've got to be like 16, 17 for a lot of sports to be pro. But I mean, making those like life changing decisions about I want to pursue this at that age, it's got to take
Hmm.
some kind of again toll on you. Like, is
Oh yeah,
this what I really
definitely.
want to do, sort of thing. So knowing yourself is
Yeah.
probably quite a big part of that too.
Yeah, definitely. Even going from there, it's a lot of constant stress and pressure being, competing all the time. And that's what you're focused on. That's a lot of stress. Not performing to your expectations as well can be super damaging to, your whole mental state, and whole mindset and stuff too. So I mean, can get into a lot of discussion there about of like how
Oh
to
yeah.
approach, being a professional player and mentality wise. But yeah, it's committing to it definitely takes its toll.
So how do you see like the TFT sort of like going for you? Are you just planning on playing for Cloud9, taking on as many tournaments and stuff as you can? Can we actually check out like tournaments and stuff that you've done? Is there like a place? Can you go onto like Cloud9's site and see the TFT stuff?
Well, you can go on the Cloud9 website and see the TFT stuff that they're doing, because Cloud9 is actually doing a qualifier for
Oh,
this
cool.
this World Championship that's coming up. It's the Nebula qualifier, and I think it'll actually be starting in about 2 days on
Huh.
July 8th. So I believe you go to cloud9.gg/TFT, you can read some information
Okay.
there. As opposed to other tournaments I've competed in, I don't think there's like any actually like one specific place to check out all my
Check them out.
past results
Hmm.
and stuff, but there probably will be something like that in the future though.
I haven't actually watched any of the like tournament stuff at TFT. I played a couple of the games just because I was curious what it was like, but my knowledge was put tanks at the front, put my damage dealers at the back, and I think that was pretty much as far as my knowledge went. But I mean, I can see
Yeah.
how it can be quite addictive. It's like there's so much thought process into it, and the fact it's got
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of the league elements into it as well, but you don't have to really have the micro that you need
Yeah.
in a lot of other games, man. So I can definitely see that appeal.
Yeah, no. I remember getting questions during the beginning of TFT, like, "Hey, like, do you need to like be familiar with League of Legends to, like be good at TFT?" And I'm like, "Actually, not really at all. Like, it's a little bit helpful to know, like, oh, this is, Syndra, and I understand what Syndra does from League of
Yeah.
Legends. Like, it's like a little bit easier to like understand, like, oh, she is probably a sorcerer or like a mage or
Mhm.
something. Whenever like between the sets, they have like different, like tags to what they classify each unit. But yeah, like you can have a little bit of extra knowledge, but the game plays way differently. It's a lot of just like strategy, understanding of the meta and stuff, and
Mhm.
the nuances of say like positioning, understanding at what point of the game to improve your composition, what to take out, what to put in, what items to make, what's strong versus other things, and so yeah, definitely way different than
Yeah,
League,
I
but it
think
has
that
a
was
lot of its own pull and strategy and appeal to it.
that was the only thing, was like the items were very similar. I didn't have to
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and oh,
yeah.
that's an attack speed item. That was like the only. I was like, that kind of helps. So outside of like TFT in gaming, again, you said you were playing D&D, sorry,
Yeah.
previously and stuff. So what else are you doing, or as well as outside of gaming?
Yeah, outside of gaming, honestly, most of it is D&D related. I did get into Dungeons and Dragons. Oh man, it must have been early college, I believe. And I actually like, admittedly, before college, I had like a kind of negative, not negative, but like a perception of D&D. Like, it doesn't seem like something I'd really enjoy. Like, it just seems like, just it seems like kind of weird. But I actually I got exposure to it from watching actually a campaign by Koibu or Neil Erickson.
Okay,
And I believe people who participated in that as well were Itme JP, Ryan or Ryuzilla, Live in Pink, and In Control.
oh cool.
And if you are familiar from In Control from being in the
The
StarCraft
StarCraft me,
scene,
yeah,
and yeah, and he was a big inspiration for me. And unfortunately, it was last year, a couple of years ago, he passed away.
yeah,
But I think it was just it kind of just like actually solidifies the inspiration that he had for me, because I absolutely loved watching his character in D&D there, and it's what got me into it. And it's such a huge part of my life now. So like I just absolutely love being able to you know express yourself however you want in such an open,
oh
creative
yeah,
environment. And that's what Dungeons and Dragons really is. Like, it's not about really anything else other than, having fun with your friends and having that whatever creative, expressive outlets that you want, and adventuring through, the world, doing whatever, to your
hmm
heart's content. And it's just super fun and liberating and exciting. And so,
yeah. I
um,
was in luck. 'Cause
yeah,
again, I knew he, like In Control played like D&D and stuff as well.
yeah.
Again, like JP2, all stuff that kind of related
Mhm.
through StarCraft. I knew they had, and it was also like he used to do quite a lot of Warhammer stuff. So again, I used to follow
Yeah.
that sort of stuff too. But his personality through stuff, I could sit and watch the streams, and I would hate the game he's playing, but I'd still just be like, his voice in the background, there's some of the stuff he comes out with, you just be, it was funny. The same
Yeah.
with you saying like when I first, like it was more just like D&D in my head was always the pinnacle of being a nerd. It was like this is
Yeah,
this is
kind
this
of.
this is the nerdiest thing you could possibly do. And then I remember my brother like lured me into a Pokemon themed one. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll play one. And I was just like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
I must admit, I do prefer them in person though. Like as one thing through COVID, like doing them over like Tabletop Simulator or something like that,
Yeah.
it's still fun. But I don't know, there's something about you just doing them with a table of mates. It's good fun. But I think a lot of people are put off by that. They think it's like, man, I don't think it can get much nerdier.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the perception I a little bit had. Like, I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'm a nerd, I play video games and stuff. Like, yeah, sure, but like, I didn't think I really resonated with like, that category. And I think it was like such a just like a bad mindset to have, and having that exposure to seeing that campaign streamed. I was like, wait, this looks really cool. This looks really fun. Like, I don't know why I had that perception of it, and
hmm
I started playing it myself. I played with some college friends and got super into it and enjoyed it. And I've been playing D&D ever since. I know there's a very, very, very popular Dungeons and Dragons show that's also streamed on Twitch now, Critical Role.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that with a bunch of voice actors, Matthew Mercer, Laura Bailey, Liam O'Brien, like voice actors of some of the most influential, people in video games and in general in anime and stuff. Matthew Mercer being McCree and Liam O'Brien being Illidan, like just it's really, really, really high quality. And if anybody is interested in D&D, watch Critical Role if that's your first exposure to it.
Yeah.
It's super, super, super good.
But I remember one of my friends was like, I've forgotten what the actor's name is, but the guy who plays Superman, like he's quite a nerd and he plays D&D.
Henry Cavill?
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. And
Yeah,
I remember my mates were like, he plays that D&D game that you've mentioned. I'm like, man, that was like, it's good, man. I'm telling you, just give it. And then that's like, when you say people stream it and play it, and people watch people play it, and you're like, yeah, that's it, man. And in my in my experiences, sometimes because they have such good personalities, it's better than playing it. It's really good. I can't match their personalities, man. They're too good. So it's good fun. So I normally do as well. Towards the end, I just do like a quick fire question round. So like when I've streamed, I'll just say that I'm interviewing yourself. Is there any questions and stuff that people might want to ask? So if you're up for it, I can ask a few. If they're not like related in any way, they're just random questions. So some
go
are.
for it.
Okay, so first one was if you could play any other game professionally, which one would it be?
Oh man, any other game professionally? I mean, I've always kind of thought like, what if I had stuck with League of Legends, where that would have gone, even though I didn't go that route. But I think probably League of Legends would be my answer there.
So you'd be Cloud9, top lane, rumble smashing.
Hey, maybe.
So when you were pro HGC, who was the most overpowered hero?
Oh, HGC, who's the most overpowered hero? I mean, there's a reason that I went 17-0 with Hanzo in North America before I found my first loss. So I think it was at some point definitely Hanzo, which was the most busted.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that. I mean, now he's like, again, it's obviously different the level I'm playing at, but he's pretty weak now. He feels like he doesn't really get played to the same extent, man.
Definitely got nerfed a lot after that point.
The worst video game you've ever played?
The worst video game I've ever played? Wow, that's a question. Oh man. Can we come back to that one?
We can circle back.
Circle back to that one.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's kind of similar, but if you weren't playing TFT, what would you do?
If I wasn't playing TFT, I'm actually okay. I'm gonna take that as if I had actually decided to stop pursuing competitive gaming in general. I did. One of the things that I did after HC fell through is I decided to apply to Wizards of the Coast to be a community manager.
Cool.
On their D&D side. So I actually think something still involved in the gaming space would be something that I would want to do. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do, so this maybe I'll have a few answers here. But working in within a gaming company in that sense, being the community manager or working in PR or something, I think would be super interesting, something that I would be good at. I'm an English major. I'm into writing. I write poetry in my off time sometimes. I haven't really done it too much in a while,
cool.
but I would like to at some point pursue writing to a greater capacity. And another thing is I actually would try to voice act. I think talking more about Critical Role and those voice actors and stuff, it's like, wow, voice acting seems really, really cool, really fun. Obviously a lot of work and stuff, but
you've got a decent deep sounding voice for voiceovers, man. So I think you've got that down if you ever need to, man. It's in the back pocket. So
maybe I'll pull it out one day.
That's
perhaps.
Cool. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee or energy drink? I mean, Red Bull, hashtag sponsored energy drink.
Gotta go the sponsor. Okay. What TV shows are you watching just now?
What TV shows? I watch a little bit of anime, if that counts.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah, and some that I've watched recently. Most recently, I watched Tower of God. Super good. Yeah. Outside of that, what's the actual last TV show I watched? I think it was Upload. Was the last actual show that I've watched.
I don't know what that is either. I'm gonna Google it. Upload.
Yeah, it's the premise of it is when people die, their consciousness can be uploaded to like
Oh,
a
I have seen an advert for
virtual
this.
kind of
Yeah.
like what? Yeah, yeah. I think it's kind of interesting. I'm definitely gonna check out season 2 whenever that comes out.
Based in
So
like 2033. That's cool.
yeah, yeah, futuristic. I think that's
So
super cool. Like, I would want to, when I die, I want my consciousness to be uploaded too. So
yeah,
I sympathize there
I remember
for
like this is
sure.
super nerdy, but I remember like someone told me like a few years ago that like the singularity, like your brain being uploaded to like a machine, and it was like someone had told me that like if you were under, it's under 35 now, that's like the earliest point they think that like you could potentially reach the likelihood of your brain being downloaded to a machine and you could live
Oh wow.
forever as like a robot. So we made the cut.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, so this is a question of mine now. Since you said anime, what all-time favorite anime?
I actually think all-time favorite anime, I'd have to go with Haikyuu. It's a sports anime, a volleyball anime in specific.
I've
And I
heard of
remember
it, but I've
my
never actually watched it.
yeah,
Haikyuu.
one of my best friends recommended it to me, and I'd watched anime and enjoyed it at that point, and I was like, I don't know if I would enjoy a sports anime though. I don't really think I'd resonate with it or it would hit. But then I started
Mm-hmm.
watching it, and I was like, oh my God, this is
It's really good.
so good.
Okay.
Is there's actually a lot of things that I learned from watching Haikyuu that I very actively applied to in competing in esports and like being a part of a team and actually like, being a team captain, which I think that I tried to emulate being the captain of Heroes Hearth Esports.
That's cool. Do they still make it?
Yeah, Haikyuu. Recently they had like part 1 of season 4, and I think part 2 is going to come out sometime later this year. I don't
Oh, that's
remember
cool.
specifically when. I think got delayed due to COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
one for
that's
the list. I'm always looking for
still
good
ongoing.
animes to watch.
Oh
Like, I
yeah,
mean,
100%
it's
recommend Haikyuu.
that's cool. Yeah, 'cause I think like Death Note's probably my favorite. I still remember watching it.
Okay.
Some of my friends were just like, it's probably a bit more mainstream, but like it's, I don't know, man. I remember the first time I watched it, I just could not stop watching it, just one after the other. But yeah, that was really good. That was cool. This is also, what's your favorite subject in school? Is the next question.
Favorite subject. Hmm. I think actually, like looking back on it, like I kind of miss college, and if I think back on the fact that I miss college, I'm like, okay, I mostly missed like the social aspect of it. But a class that I actually thought was really stimulating was philosophy.
Oh, cool.
And so I think I'd have to go with that. I'm not a math person. I'm good at English, and I liked English. I grew up reading a lot of books and stuff, and I think that kind of propelled me into being good at reading, writing, etc. So English is the safe answer there, but I think actually what's more interesting to me was philosophy and delving into philosophical concepts and just getting a different perspective. And I'm a person that really values different
Hmm.
perspectives and liking the just being able to understand something from a different point of view.
I'm hearing more options if gaming doesn't work out here. It's good.
I'm so interested by a lot of things. And it's something. I mean, I want to do a lot. I want to accomplish a lot of stuff in life, and I know right now like, this is the time where I can focus on esports and gaming. But eventually down the line, I want to try a bunch of other stuff. So.
Last question. Okay, so real-time strategy game or first-person shooter?
Ooh, RTS or FPS? So I've played both. I played a decent amount of StarCraft. I also recently been playing a little bit of Valorant, and I've been
Okay.
enjoying Valorant. Ooh, I think I'm actually better at RTS than FPS games.
Okay. What race do you play when you
Maybe
play StarCraft?
I play Protoss.
Okay, okay.
Um, what about you? What about you?
I was a Zerg man. I was all about the bugs,
Uh,
man. It's all about bugs.
Man, one of my best friends. Actually, her name is Faye. She was a part of the HGC, and she was actually before competing in Here's the Storm. She was a pro, semi-pro, pro, I believe, StarCraft player.
Oh, cool.
And she's a good friend of mine now. I talk to her pretty much every day, part of a group of friends. And she flames me constantly for playing Protoss. She's like, "Oh, you're just a Protoss player. You don't need to do anything. You just death ball and don't have any micro." And I'm just like, "Hey,
That
now."
was it. That was always the running joke. Was like
Yeah.
my group of friends. They were all Protoss players, and I was like, right, I'm not playing Protoss, and I was like, it's Terran or Zerg, and I was like, Zerg looks like it's high macro, but in
Yeah.
reality, sorry, high micro. In reality, it's just like I can build all my drones at once,
Hmm.
so I don't have to think about it. But yeah, that was always the you build a death ball and you just push it. That's all you do, man. You know. So
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I mean, there's some nuances for some, some mechanical play there, but yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot more APM that you have to have as a Sword player. I'll admit it.
that's cool. Okay, so Protoss noob, got
Oh yeah,
it.
that's me. That's me.
Okay, right. I'm forcing you to answer the worst video game you've ever played.
Okay. Oh man, worst video game I ever played. I've been thinking about it, and I actually don't know. I just okay. I think I'm going to go with. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna go with Fable 3. And I
Okay.
know it's not like a bad game, and I'll probably, if I think about it more, I can probably come up with a better answer in general later. But I remember Fable 1. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay. New answer, new answer, new answer. I just thought of it. Okay. Dragon Age 2.
Okay.
Dragon Age 2 is probably the worst game that I've played. And again, not that it's like a bad game, but Dragon Age 1 was super, super, super good. It was
Yeah.
a RPG.
I'm
Yeah,
just bringing
if
a
you're
picture
familiar
up
with
here just to remind
yeah, yeah,
myself
yeah,
what it was.
for
It's
sure.
looking pretty old school, man.
Dragon Age 1 was yeah, super like open world and like what you could do and stuff, and it was just had a super um investing like the story that like really made you invested in it and like very compelling characters and stuff, and it was overall a really good game. And Dragon Age 2 came out and it was so streamlined that it's like, is this even like the same people that made the game? Like it's in the same world, sure, but man, this game is not what I
No,
was
nothing like it.
expecting
I don't
when
remember
playing Dragon Age 1.
playing the second one. I remember the first one. I'm just looking at pictures of
Yeah,
the second one, and I don't really. Well, it must
it
have been
was
like folk gave it such bad reviews, and I've just been like, nah, it's obviously rubbish. So, oh well.
yeah. And
So,
yeah,
so
that's
how
what
about
comes to
when
mind.
what was comes to mind? Okay, so how about like when you were younger? Do you remember like any games you played where you would just dominate your friends? Like you literally like, I'm talking like GoldenEye. You play something like that in the N64, and your mates are like, "Oh, I'm really good at this game," and you just like they don't even get a kill on you. You know?
Uh, oh, for years or anything like that. I mean, I played a little bit of not that I was like really good at it, but the games that I played with friends, some were like just some casual like Call of Duty sometimes,
Mm,
and I played a little bit of League of Legends. And initially, I was better at League of Legends than the majority of my friends, so I guess like a little bit like that.
like
But yeah, a
so
little bit of that.
when you like went back to casually play HOTS, the folk you were playing with, are they just like casual gamers, or were they like some of them? Are they like ex pros and stuff as well, or?
Yeah, a lot of my friend group right now is ex-pro players of Heroes of the
Okay.
Storm, so yeah, kind of that same that same level. But
So it'd be weird
yeah.
having like a friend who's like high level and your mates are like maybe slightly above average and he's just team stomping everybody. Like right,
Yeah,
let's not invite
yeah.
that guy back.
Not even fun playing with them, so fun.
Okay, so finally, I normally just finish off by try to give a little something back to like people that are listening and maybe someone that's thinking about pursuing a career in like esports or gaming or something. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's wanting to do that?
Yeah, so I'll actually preface this by saying initially, I know I referenced it earlier, but the fact that there was these players that I had looked up to a lot in the esports space, and originally like shaped my want to pursue being in esports, like Westrice, like Aframu, and those
Hmm.
players. And I was really inspired by seeing those players, and so it's always been a goal of mine to want to give back to anybody that I can, and with any reach that I have, because I want to inspire people in the same way that I was inspired. And with that being said, I think advice that I would give, first and foremost, to people that wanting to take that step and try to go pro is, if you come to the conclusion that it's something you want to pursue, run with it and go like full out on it. Going pro is not something that you can dedicate like half of your time to and expect to really make something with. It's such a competitive space, and it's such a competitive field that you really do need to kind of like give it your all, but not in the way that like you just grind the game endlessly and like burn out, but practice kind of like with purpose, like actively be trying to look for ways that you can that you can improve. I've said it, last week on the panel that I was speaking on, but I think an hour of gameplay that you are actively trying to figure out what mistakes that you can improve upon. Like if something doesn't work out, try to think like, okay, what did I do there? Why didn't it go right? What could I have done so that it could go better? And then maybe you're wrong the first time, but then you'll figure out that you were wrong, and you'll eventually figure out a way that it can work out. But just an hour of gameplay, like practice with purpose is what I call it, is like better than 5 hours of just grinding the game and not thinking about it and just playing for mechanics. Because you can be mechanically skilled at the game, but that is not everything in being a professional player. It's not everything in a game is being mechanically skilled. You need to understand how to improve, how to take criticism, how to work on a team if you are playing in a team game, like a MOBA. A team dynamic is way more important than just being a skilled player. That's something that I personally figured out a lot, or figured out in a very prevalent, I suppose, degree in me playing Heroes of the Storm, was that we at some point brought on a player that was very mechanically gifted but did not mesh well with the team at all in attitude, and it was just a huge conflict there. And we are a worse team because of it. So mechanical skill does not equal everything. Also, I mean, there's so much advice, but I think just one more more thing is the fact, that unfortunately or fortunately, just being a good player and being able to play on a team well isn't the only thing that's important in the esports and gaming space. You really want to be attractive in terms of to organizations. In fact, of having some brandability, being marketable. Start out streaming, start out like trying to create opportunities. Like you're worth a lot more to an organization than just being a player who's good at the game. And that's why a lot of the times orgs will very much look at what you bring to the table outside of just being a good player. But also along that, it kind of goes hand in hand with creating opportunities. You want to be constantly looking out for ways that you can further yourself in the esports and gaming space. Even in, a lot of people don't want to do interviews. A lot of people don't want to, even like a large reason why, I'm here right now is because I don't want to take for granted opportunities to, be able to have my voice out there and stuff. And I really value, and thank you for reaching out to me to, for me to be on here. I think, having a voice, having a platform is important, and having amount of reach is really good, and something that people shouldn't take for granted. So those opportunities to just like take advantage of opportunities that you do have and try to create opportunities for you to have in the future.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's exactly what I'm sort of looking for. And even thing as well, looking at being marketable, one thing I always remember was your hair. It's always, I know, it's just something that's always like stood out. I mean, it was also like one of the guys, Quacknix, that we spoke to before. He was so, he's a European HOTS player. He was so cheeky with the way he played and a little bit in your face, but it's something that because he does these things, it sticks in your mind, sort of thing. So again, it is like a little bit of an appeal because he's different, So
yeah, definitely.
It also leads to me to ask how long does it take you to like prep and actually keep your hair like that, man?
So contrary to popular belief, I put very little effort into my hair. I literally wake up and comb my hair out, just like it's like naturally the shape, but it gets like a little bit more like nappy or knotted. So I just comb it out for like under 5 minutes, like 2 to 4 minutes, like every day, and I wash it like every other day, even like so it's very, very low maintenance. I'm very lazy when it comes to my hair.
It does actually look like it takes a lot. So whatever you're doing, it's working anyway, man.
Yep.
That's good.
Right.
So where can people find you? Again, if they want to know more about like TFT, CU, and Cloud9 and stuff, I'll put all the information into YouTube or wherever I post the video when it's live. But where else can they find you?
So primarily you can find me on Twitch and Twitter, just at Khroen, Khroen. I do have an Instagram, which is C9Khroen, which I don't really use a lot of Instagram, but it's mostly just Twitch and Twitter, and yeah.
You're talking about being marketable, man. This is what you need to do. You need to be posting more on Instagram. Nah, that's good.
Sure. I mean, I should, but like advice that I give is some advice that I probably should follow more. Like even going back to the conversation about physical health, like I probably should work out consistently, and I try to sometimes, and I'm just like get really lazy, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it another time or something, or
a new
like,
anime series comes out, and then yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly, well, I appreciate you taking the time out. Oh, sorry, man, what was that? Just interrupted you.
Just say there's always more that you could be doing, always more that you could try to better yourself with. Self-improvement is a huge thing for me, and something I'm always trying to work towards.
It
And it's
takes-
a struggle sometimes, but yeah, that's the goal.
It does. I have to remind myself sometimes there's like, limited time in a day. And once if you're streaming like 5-6 hours a day, I mean, that's amateur hours compared to a lot of people, but try to do stuff outside that. If you're working a 9 to 5 and things, I'm like, I really want to get this done. And it's just like, yeah, you need to remind yourself you're only one person. So, yeah. But yeah, like I said, thanks so much for taking the time out to be on and stuff. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like and subscribe. It really helps me and the channel out a lot. And it also keeps you up to date with all the new guests too. Cheers. See ya.